Now, if your phone has been lighting up with suspicious +44 calls lately, you are not alone. I think we're all in the same boat. It's a very large boat. There's been a surge in scam calls from UK numbers in recent weeks, with some people receiving several in a single day. I even got some myself over the weekend. As Christmas approaches, experts warn that scammers become even more active, targeting the rise in online shopping and banking activity. Well, now ComReg says it plans to crack down on these calls with a new system that uses advanced analytics and machine learning to detect and block suspicious activity. It's expected to go live in the first half of next year and aims to stop both Irish and international scam calls before they ever reach the public. So to explain why these scams are on the rise, how they work and what protection this new system could offer, we are joined by the tech expert Pat Clarke Browne from Munster Business in Shannon and the managing director of IT solutions provider Tierney's, which is founded and headquartered in Ennis, Kevin Tierney. And thanks to both the gents for being with us on the programme. Pat, as I say, it's a big boat. We're all in it. I'm sure you're getting them as well. It seems to be daily, and in some cases, I seem to only get one per day, but many people getting multiple calls. From your conversations with local SMEs and those you work with, how disruptive are these calls to day-to-day business operations?
It can be very irritating, because if you're a company who does deal with companies in the UK, so like, for example, as an individual, you just go, no one's going to ring me from England, I want to answer that. But for example, I would have couples ringing me from the UK. The good thing though is that a lot of the systems have kicked in. So on my phone, for example, it comes up as suspected spam.
Yeah, I get that as well, which is handy.
Lots of those. So at least that means I just don't answer it. So the kind of thing for this is don't answer. Because what happens is a lot of it is they're ringing to see if it's a live number. And if it is, then your number gets sold to other organisations, and then you get even more calls. So my kind of policy is, if it's a UK number, leave it. If it's important, they leave a message. And I will not answer any UK numbers anymore.
Yeah, I think you're highlighting there certain types of businesses might be more vulnerable than others. For example, a retail or a firm handling payments and so on, or you're just dealing with a lot of UK business. It can be quite tricky.
It can, because again, you're kind of going, do I take the chance that they won't ring me back if it's something that they're contacting me about? And as you said, particularly at this time of the year, when everybody is getting packages and has ordered stuff in, you're more susceptible to fall for it. Because when you do answer, what they're saying is, I'm calling you from An Post, I'm calling you from Temu, I'm calling you from whatever, there's an issue with your package. What they're looking to do is twofold. They want to see that it's a live number that they can sell on to other people. And their best thing is if you give them some kind of information they can use for other things. So, there's a small €2 delivery fee or something like that. So it's just what's going on from what used to be the I'm an Arab prince looking for a bride, or I have 10 million in my account, I need to shift into yours. It's just a newer, smarter version of that.
Yeah, just to bring you in now, Kevin Tierney, how are scammers able to use UK and Irish numbers so easily? Like, what technology or what services are they exploiting?
They're using API-based phone systems, so it's easier and easier to make phone calls from anywhere in the world now, as anyone. So services like Twilio or Telnix make it extremely easy to do this. And anybody can do it from anywhere in the world.
Are scammers becoming more patient and convincing compared to the obvious scam calls of the past?
Yes. This surge at the moment is more of a low-hanging fruit. So they will try hundreds of thousands of numbers to get small returns. What will happen in the future, and what has happened in terms of email phishing, is they will be more deliberate and look for a larger return because there's more awareness of these things happening.
And Pat, in terms of mistakes that businesses most commonly make when responding to suspicious calls, as you've touched on, I suppose responding to them in the first place is the big mistake. Are there others though that businesses or even individuals such as ourselves who are receiving, I seem to be just getting one a day, but speaking to others in the station here, they're getting multiple calls a day?
Yeah, again, the mistake is if you answer one of them, you're now on the database to be targeted by others. So unfortunately, if you've answered one, you're going to get more calls. So it's just don't answer, block the number. Even the phone manufacturers are realizing that this is an issue. So if you've got the new Apple with iOS 26 on it, for example, they now have call screening, where if a number comes in from an unknown number, you can set it up to automatically, a voice message comes onto them saying, who are you and what are you calling in relation to? And then that's passed on to you, and you can decide if you want to actually answer the call or not. So that's on Apple and on the Google Pixel phones as well. So it'll basically screen the calls for you. The problem with businesses is it's very difficult to not answer the phone when it rings, because is it either an existing customer or a potential new one? So one of the things that's recommended is that you save, if you do have anybody living in the UK, for example, save their contact details onto your phone, so you'll actually say it's Pat calling or Alan calling, rather than just being a UK number. But again, if it's new clients or different numbers, you can't be 100% sure. So exactly as Kevin said, they only need 1 out of 100 or 1 out of 200 to fall for this. And if they get any information out of you that they can either sell on or directly use themselves, then that's their cost for the day covered.
Yeah, and Kevin, it's all, it's great to have you guys on to have tips and advice on how to handle it, but it really is, it's just frustrating and annoying to people to have to do all this, to have to be put in this position. So I suppose it is very much welcome news that ComReg has announced its voice firewall. It says could block over 90% of scam calls. But when you think about the amount that must be made on a daily basis, from a technical perspective, how realistic is that?
I think it will work initially, and I think it will filter out over 90% of the calls. But all that's going to happen in the future is that they're going to become more deliberate, and they will find more information on you based on breaches that have happened, like the HSE, which all of our data is out there if you were in the hospital, and they know a lot about you. And as I said previously, they will go from the low-hanging fruit and be more deliberate, especially against businesses. It's happening every week. So that's just going to continue to happen.
And I suppose, Pat, this is welcome news, but it could potentially just be short or hopefully at least medium-term welcome news. It sounds like it's a case of one-upmanship. This voice firewall will be pretty effective, but would you expect scammers to adapt quickly once this system goes live? And if so, what new tactics might scammers move to if call blocking becomes more effective?
Yeah, it's a constant battle. It's a constant battle to keep up with what they're doing. So exactly as you said, it's like chess. You do one thing, they may find a way around it. They'll do this, they'll do the other. Unfortunately, the weakest link in all of these systems are the people. So the humans that make the mistake, they click on the wrong link, or they answer, they say the wrong thing online, or they like fake invoice emails, things like that can happen all the time. So that's why, particularly for businesses, it's important to have somebody like Tierney's or somebody like that watching your cybersecurity, because it is a big deal. So it only takes one mistake, and suddenly somebody pays an invoice for several €1,000, and that money is then gone because it's bounced to another bank account. So you need policies in place, verification, even for regular people. We mentioned previously about the fact that they can now spoof people's voices. So you get a call saying, "Oh, Alan, it's me, Pat, my car broke down. I have to pay the tow truck driver, but I don't have my card with me. Can you cover that for me?" And it sounds like me. Because if they can, particularly for somebody like you, because there's plenty samples of your voice out there, and then they can clone that. So that's the way it's going to be going. It'll sound like the person who you're expecting. It might even look like the person you're expecting on a video call, but it's not them anymore. So that, exactly as Kevin was saying, it's a constant changing thing, and you need to try and keep on top of it as much as you can.
So, Kevin, the ComReg's voice firewall going live soon, but do you think they have already, or perhaps should be, developing the next step in this ongoing game of chess, as Pat describes it, that they themselves know this will be effective for a while, but that the scammers will be moving on to try and find ways around the voice firewall, and that they themselves are going to have to respond in kind soon afterwards? And if so, what do you think the next move should be? Is there anything out there that you think will ever be fully effective, or will it just be this continuing game of chess?
To be honest, Alan, I don't think that we'll ever stop anything like this. It's, again, the same as what has happened to email in the past. New technologies come in and it stops the majority of the issues or scams, then these scammers just come up with a new way to do it. At the moment, there is AI-based technology looking at emails, who has emailed you before, building a timeline of the people that you usually communicate, and stop if there's anything out of the ordinary, then it stops them from communicating with you or notification. And maybe that's where ComReg can go, but that takes a lot of money and it takes a lot of time to develop. And it's very much the bigger businesses that can afford to do that. So I think ComReg implementing this first, and then looking at where we are in a year or two, is probably the way it's going to go. But this is a very difficult thing to do.
Which I guess means, Pat, that look, regulatory measures very welcome, but those measures alone aren't going to be enough. So the advice that you've flagged up at the start for businesses and staff, that responsibility is still going to largely fall on them. They are going to have to be on their guard as much as possible, perhaps even when this voice firewall comes in, because it'll block over 90% of scam calls, but that means that close to 10% are still going to slip through the net.
Yeah, and again, particularly for companies, it's a question of having policies in place before the final click on a payment. You should have taken several steps of verification. Check, did we ever, there was a big scam with the HSE and other places in the UK where people just randomly send them invoices and nobody ever checks that company's even on the system and invoices being sent out. So a lot of this is going to be down to the finance department, because that's where the money is going to come from, to have those extra checks in place before any payment is made out, that we verify that this is an actual invoice. Did we order this? Did it actually come in? So exactly as Kevin was saying, it's a question of having those check boxes before you do that final step of saying, are they on our system? Everyone has to be set up as a vendor, or that kind of thing can help. But again, if the vendor at the other end of the system is compromised, then it looks like a genuine invoice. So it's really, really hard to stay on top of it. For end users, for the standard people like ourselves, don't answer calls in the UK. Don't give anybody your credit card details or your bank account information. The bank are not going to ring you up asking you for your bank information. Do you actually have something on order? And ask them something about your order that they should know if they're ringing to say, oh, there's a problem with the delivery. How many packages is there? Where did it come from? Who's the sender? But as other people's systems are being compromised, exactly as we were saying, that data gets out there, and then it's much more difficult to keep track of what's going on. Just take that extra step. Just stop and think is what they say.
And Pat, what should someone do if they believe they've already engaged with a scam caller, or is it kind of almost too late? That your number now, they know you're a live number, your number's going to get passed on, and just endeavour to not answer them in the future and hope that your number falls off their list at some point, if that's possible?
Eventually, yeah. If you block the numbers that are calling, so every time you get one in, if you realise that it's a spam one, then just block it. So on your phone, if you click on the info button for the call that's in your call log, you have an option to block and delete anything that's there before. If you've given them any kind of detail about yourself, like your bank information stuff, straight onto your bank right away, inform them of what's happened. They have cybersecurity policies in place. They will block your card, issue with a new number, whatever the requirements are. But there are horror stories of people having their accounts emptied in 5-10 minutes.
Oh God, imagine that happened to you, the stress you'd go through. Just final word to yourself on this then, Kevin, any other advice you'd have for business owners in terms of reducing their exposure to scam calls? And how important is staff training and internal verification processes as well in preventing financial loss?
I mean, training is the biggest thing that you can do for yourself as a consumer and for a business. Going through common scenarios and how to spot these scams, having two-factor authentication and user and password manager when you're online, verification of the site you're on and any information you give over. And as Pat said, what these people are looking for is for you to do something. You don't have to do it. And just remembering that always, if someone asks you to do something via phone, text message, or email, you can always not answer and verify after. So verification is the biggest thing that can protect you.
Okay, great advice, gents. It's like an early Christmas present for all of us, I think. My thanks to Kevin Tierney there, Managing Director of IT Solutions Provider Tierney's in Ennis, and as always, Pat Clarke Browne from Munster Business, based in Shannon.